I've talked about this for a very long time, but the right thrives off of convincing people through the use of wedge issues. The right's really good at identifying which of their talking points are kind of dead in the water, dead on arrival, and which ones really resonate with people. They've identified this very effectively time and time again, and probably one of the best examples of this has been their rhetoric about the trans community. Their hyper-focus on attacking trans people and utilizing the somewhat, unfortunately, extremely common ignorance on trans rights, trans issues, the struggles that trans people face in the science, both like biological and sociological, behind the validity of trans people. They take advantage of that ignorance and they weaponize that ignorance into hate using these particular hyper-specific wedge issues. For a while, it was the idea of drag queen story hours, but as those became so politically inflamed, I have not seen a single story about that in years. I'm not the only one, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Have there been drag queen story hours in, like, the last 4 years now? Maybe 3? Like, it feels like all those stories dried up a few years back. So they pivoted. They started hard focusing on another wedge issue in regards to trans people themselves. Like, focusing on attacking them is already a wedge issue, but they focused down even further onto their strongest argument that they could find against trans people. Claiming all trans people are predators and dangerous, it's a risky business. It's effective in the right circumstances, but when you're trying to convince a bunch of parents of trans kids that their kid is a groomer, doesn't really work all that well. So instead, they are focusing on, time and time again, their number one focus has been on trans athletes. They will never, ever let this topic go. And they'll go as far as to make up stories to try and back up their narrative when it comes to trans athletes. Probably one of my favorite examples of this is a wrestler, a trans male wrestler named Max Beggs, who famously, despite identifying as a guy, well, you look at him and you're like, that's a fucking guy, look at him, you know? He was forced to wrestle against girls and women because, as far as the league considered, he was a woman because those are the rules. He was assigned female at birth. But as you could see, this resulted in an outcome that I think most people, for the same reason that they tend to err against trans people being allowed to compete in the sport of their choosing, there was a clear advantage here. This wasn't fair. Like, Max Beggs is not a woman, clearly, and should not be wrestling against women. And then, of course, there was the famous boxer, yes. What was her name? Is this? Yes, Emaine Khalef. Emaine Khalef. Here is a picture of her. So, Emaine Khalef was verifiably, I think, like, they released her birth certificate and everything. Like, the hospital that she was born in has come out and said she is a cis woman. She was born a woman. She still identifies as a woman. She's a woman and always has been one. She's not trans. She's not like gender non-conforming or anything like that. However, she has measured as having higher than normal, for most women, testosterone levels, which is expected. When you work out, your testosterone goes up. Like, this is just true. Like, if any of you right now who live a sedentary lifestyle start working out and exercising and being athletic, you'll instantly start to experience a jump in the amount of testosterone your body produces, whether you're assigned male or female at birth. That's just how the human body works. She puts off a lot more testosterone than others do. This happens. Some people are biologically superior to others when it comes to their physical capability. Like Michael Phelps, for instance, has like an insane wingspan, and like his muscles don't build up lactic acid as fast, so he can swim faster and longer with less strain than anyone else can, just at a base level. She seems to just have higher testosterone count for a woman, but because of this, the right literally manufactured a story about how she's trans. Mind you, yeah, apparently being trans is illegal in her home country, so how would she have been trans? I don't know. I don't know how that's supposed to work, like how she would have transitioned. But regardless, they still lied about her, and they did the same thing to Max Beggs, where many of them pushed it as a story of a trans woman competing against girls and winning. They won't even accept the reality when their narrative doesn't work out. When their standard fails and the outcome they're fear-mongering about happens, they will lie and start pushing it as a story where the exact opposite happened from the truth. They will claim that a person who's cis is trans, or a person who's a trans man is a trans woman. They're that willing to lie. And so hearing all of that, I want you to know that, but remember these details when we go into this story, because the right is now pushing a brand new anti-trans athlete story that's making the rounds at the moment. Apparently, a CIF track and field competitor has been complaining about one of her fellow runners being trans, being a trans woman, and has done this big, massive, like, call out and like boycott of the event. Has called on people who are watching the event that aren't pro-trans to call out this trans runner. Basically a targeted harassment campaign at this trans runner, who has now released a response about it. And, you know, we've got a whole breakdown of the situation now. So let's check it out, because expect this story to be getting used as a justification for the next big batch of anti-trans policy that the right is about to push. Also, excuse me for the burp.
Right now at 6, a track and field meet sparking nationwide controversy after a transgender athlete qualifies. For the first time, we're hearing from the athlete and her mom. Their reaction you'll see only here on NBC4. I want to thank you for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Jonathan Gonzalez.
And I'm Kathy Vara. A transgender athlete from Harupa Valley is competing in track and field CIF state championship events today after qualifying earlier this week. It's a move that has drawn controversy across the nation.
Just yesterday, A.B. Hernandez came out strong in all 3 events at Buchanan High School in Clovis. The teen has been under scrutiny for competing in girls' sports. The CIF has since made changes for how girls play and qualify in the championship. If Hernandez takes the top spot in her categories today, the second-place biological female would be also awarded first place.
Meanwhile, President Trump is threatening to...
This is an era of conversation and argumentation that will be remembered forever as absurdly ridiculous in the future. Like, in the not so far off future, there's going to be a very strong consensus among most of society about trans people being valid and fine, and you're like a massive cringe lord and an asshole if you're anti-trans. That's going to happen. We are going to reach that point, inevitably. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. However, what I love about this whole situation is that the media's handling of these stories and their lack of ability to come out full-frontedly as against the narratives being pushed by the right against trans people has been eternalized, like set in stone now, saved forever on the internet. All of this shit is happening in the internet age. 10, 15, 20 years from now, if you thought cancel culture was bad, wait until all of the biggest celebrities on the internet today, if they're still around in 10, 15 years, when the shit that they were saying and doing back around now and years ago is still resurfacing 10, 15 years from now, it is going to be so fucking embarrassing. It's going to be like, imagine if the Y2K panic happened back in like, imagine if we were in today's level of internet back during the Y2K panic, right? And that you had people on TikTok uploading their videos of them melting down over Y2K and how it's going to be the end of the world. And then now it's 2025 and all those people's TikToks and stuff still get posted around making fun of how they were like melting down and freaking out over Y2K, which we now look back on as like one of the most ridiculous things to have ever like freaked out over, right? It's going to be a very similar vibe to that, but even more embarrassing. What's Y2K? The idea that on the turn of the millennium, on December like going into January 1st, 2000, that all the computers in the world would be unable to handle the like switchover of the millennium, and everyone would, like, all the computers would just glitch out, shut off, all the mainframes would fail, and essentially all the power would go out, the like fossil fuel production and refinement and use would stop. Like, basically all the computers in the world would shut down. And even in 2000, people were like, oh my god, the whole world is run by computers, what if they all stop? Yeah. And so more or less it was like just a big freak out over nothing. Or like 2012, a lot of people were panicking thinking the world would end in 2012, but it wasn't as big as the Y2K thing. That was like, people were freaking out.
Trip federal funding from California for violating his administration's executive order banning transgender female athletes competing in women's school sports.
NBC4's Christian Gossett has joined us live from Clovis, where those events are currently underway. Christian.
Well, Jonathan and Kathy, today we spoke to A.B. Hernandez before today's event, and she tells me that she is giving it all she can because her focus right now is the sport, and she's ignoring all the criticism that is surrounding her because, again, she wants to make sure that she's giving it her very best out on the field. Also, we spoke to her
That's
mother,
a based response.
Nereida, who tells me she is A.B.'s biggest supporter throughout this entire...
I really like the just refusing to engage with people trying to drag her down, just saying, I'm out here to do my sport. Like, people can criticize me if they want, but I'm still going to compete because I'm here to do my athletic event. I need to be out. My brain is out there on the field, not having a debate with you.
Entire journey, which involves sacrifice, training, celebration, and also hate. She says it's hate from all those people that oppose a trans athlete from participating in a girls' competition.
Just nervous right now, you know, state finals, back here again. Just like trying not to get in my head and just relax, but it's a little harder this year.
A.B. Hernandez opening up for the first time about her ongoing participation as a trans athlete in a high school girls sports competition. It's generated strong criticism, including from President Trump, who threatened to cut state funding if they, quote, illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This was the girls' triple jump varsity competition on Friday, held at Buchanan High School in Clovis, where Hernandez took the top spot. A few hours earlier, the high...
If you're wondering what else Trump has threatened, by the way, Trump has threatened that if schools, at some point he is going to pass a bill that will say, if a school mandates students get vaccinated in order to attend, then they must no longer receive federal funding. Basically meaning that, like, all public schools, because they all receive federal funding, will be shut down, more or less, if they mandate that students get vaccinated. There are Republicans calling for public schools in Oklahoma to be shut down unless they agree to teach in classes, in schools, that Trump won the 2020 election. I'm not joking. Republicans are pushing to make it law that children in certain red states, such as Oklahoma, must be taught that Trump won the 2020 election and it was illegally stolen from him by Biden. So you know when they're pushing to have that taught in schools with legal consequences if you refuse, we're getting to that fascism era fast. Like, we're getting there quick.
High school teenager competed in the girls' high jump and long jump varsity, where she also ranked first place and qualified her to Saturday's events.
When you see how happy this kid is being herself, you know, the first time I saw her come out dressed as a girl that she didn't have to hide it from me, I saw it in her face. So I was like, this is it. This is what she wants. I'm going to support it.
Behind A.B.'s every move is her mother, Nereida, who has been watching from the crowd and protecting her 16-year-old daughter from nearby protesters, both on the ground and in the sky.
I'm not.
Daughter from nearby
I feel like if you pulled out one of these guys' teeth and then, like, squeezed the tooth in a vice grip and then used a reciprocating saw to saw the tooth in half, you could see the amount of rings in the tooth from every time these guys made a joke about how women's sports aren't real sports and no one cares. Like, isn't it for years, it was one of the most common, like, conservative jokes to make fun of women's sports for not mattering, for no one caring about women's baseball or whatever, or women's basketball. Like, it was a running conservative theme to be like, oh, looks like women's basketball is having trouble holding viewership and relevance again, because they loved this idea that women's sports was just there to make the women happy. Now it's these same guys, and you know it's the same fucking guys, out there on the street holding up signs that say "Save Girls Sports." These guys clearly do not care about protecting girls and women. They care about hurting trans people. Exactly. It's all about hurting trans people.
Protesters, both on the ground and in the sky.
I'm not losing my child because of my stubbornness. And for me,
these are people with the resources to hire planes to fly banners with anti-trans rhetoric over sporting events. When we talk about, like, well, how much more resources to spread their narrative does the right have than the left? About this much. They could fly this over, like, the biggest sporting events in the country, if they wanted, I'm sure.
The sky.
I'm not losing my child because of my stubbornness and for me being closed-minded. Like, I rather embrace our times together, even if it's been this difficult, than going to a cemetery and crying because I couldn't accept something.
The fight over allowing a trans athlete to compete in girls' sports competition has been boiling for some time, until lawmakers in the Central Valley called for Hernandez to be removed, which led to changes from the CIF on how girls play and qualify.
They should have just left it alone this year and try and fix it next year.
And back out here live, AB is competing again in the long jump, high jump, and triple jump events today. Now, those results should be coming in shortly, but I can tell you there is...
Oh, do you want to know why this isn't fair, by the way? Trans people can double jump. It's true. Like, that's why this is actually... Like, the conservatives and transphobes are completely missing the point here. This isn't fair because trans people can double jump. Like... That is unfair.
High security both inside and outside of the school ever since yesterday, since this two-day championship began. But again, the high school junior telling...
Celeste confirmed this. Trans people can double jump.
She is enjoying her passion of playing sports, which she has done for several years. Only this time, she says, she's just ignoring all the noise around it. We are live in Clovis. Christian Caceres, NBC4 News.
And right now it's 6.
Well, the right has a brand new anti-trans narrative to jump on board with this new track and field event. All the comments are exactly how you expect.
It's always a guy who can't compete against their own. Can you imagine the level of narcissism and delusion?
The person they're referring to here, by the way, is a high school child.
A person has to be able to stand on the podium for first place, along with the real first place winner. And why are they calling him a she? It's a boy, so he is the appropriate term.
Oh, correcting pronouns? Woke?
First place and first place biological female? This is the Twilight Zone. This person is selfish and doesn't care about women. Imagine being proud that you won because you cheated. Everyone knows that you cheated, but you have no shame and think it's okay. He and his parents need serious therapy. Disgusting vomiting emoji. How do people think this is okay? Parents need to leave their kids' boycott. This is sick. This lady and her son will go down in internet history as top-tier examples of delusion. Laughing, crying emoji. He needs to compete with the male students. He needs to go get mental health treatment for real, or FRFR. This is outrageous. This is so wrong, and it is because I don't see the athletic ability in cheating. Divisions are created to make the playing field fair. An adult can't look at junior sports and say, hey, I could meet those qualifications and dominate all of the teens. These trans athletes are not good athletes to begin with. They could not place in men's competitions. But even in women's sports, they're not that great. They just know that physically, they do not have to deal with the biological changes girls' bodies naturally go through. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Girls gain weight, go through a lot of physical changes that are part of their development.
And this is getting increasingly creepier and creepier with every, sentence.
And they will have to train to be more, they have to train more to be competitive. A biological male is not going to go through the same physical changes, so you are looking at a male with all his anatomy, growing his hair out, wearing makeup, but taking medication to prevent puberty. That's unfair. And notice how they have not adjusted men's sports at all. They know there are differences between men and women, but they're using the trans issue to only target female athletes. It is truly unfair.
That's phenomenal. They refuse to acknowledge any cases where, trans men exist, much less exist in sports. So now they're claiming there are no trans men in sports, and that is the left specifically targeting women's sports to ruin with trans people. So yeah, all the comments down below are very vitriolically anti-trans, as you can imagine. And no, that's not like a right-wing news channel at all. It's just this trans sports issue seems to have an overwhelming consensus of people agreeing that the trans people are in the wrong. This is one of the harshest battlegrounds when it comes to trans rights we're going to have to fight on in the coming years. We're going to have to get people to, recognize how nonsensical and brainwashed they are on this topic, but they are really attached to it, and they feel so morally righteous as well. And that's the hard thing to get through to, is when they feel morally righteous about what they believe in, but what they believe in is far from it. Far from righteous. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this segment, despite the somewhat glum subject matter, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable whatsoever, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. Whether you're watching this live or when it goes up as its own video, every thumbs up and every comment really does help the channel and the algorithm. It forces YouTube to push my stuff out to new people who've never watched me before, which is really the main way that you grow a channel on YouTube, so it really does help a lot. It means the world to me. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos. If you don't know what to comment as well, just comment down below, who up Xandering they haul? And if you see someone say it and you want to reply, just comment OMG me. But thank you to everybody who does that. It really does help a lot, and it's totally free. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can afford it and you feel like it, consider supporting me directly, financially, by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Doing so really does help a lot. It helps me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, so I really do appreciate it regardless of how you support me. Just for watching, I appreciate it. But don't forget, make sure you join my fan Discord and follow my social medias linked down below too if you want to see more from me. After stream today, I'll be hosting a watch party in my Discord, like I do every Friday, every week, so I very much hope to see you guys there. But as always, thank you for watching.